And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Black and Gold Banneret's Taylor Hendricks NBA Draft Watch Party. I am Nick Porcelli, joined by my friend Bryson Turner. And guys, we're getting ready to watch UCF, forget UCF basketball, just UCF history. We're going to watch for the first time a guy get picked in the first round and most likely a lottery pick of the NBA draft. And that will be our man Taylor Hendricks. I am so excited. Bryson, how you feeling?
I think this is a really great way for UCF to kind of go out in this American Athletic Conference era. You know, the Big 12 transition is coming in just over a week. So this is really going to be the last kind of big moment, I think, that is going to happen before the transition happens, at least from a pure UCF perspective. I'm sure other things could happen that could indirectly affect UCF. But as far as directly affecting UCF, this is, I think, kind of the last major event of the American Athletic Conference era in UCF history. You know, we've seen back in the day where, of course, you had Jermaine Taylor get selected in the NBA draft back in the second round. Last I checked, I believe he missed the first round by barely a couple of picks. Like, it was early.
He was either like the first or second pick of the second round. I know what you're talking about. He was really close to being a first round pick.
And then, of course, this all started, as far as the NBA draft goes, back when Benny Shaw got selected. Back when the NBA draft, you know, had a lot more rounds to it and was selected in the ninth round. So he'll only be the third pick in the big NBA draft. But like you said, this is history right here. For the first time ever, we could see a UCF player get selected in the first round, which I think is a major development for UCF basketball as a program, given, you know, what it's had to go through these past years.
100%. And, you know, that was kind of my thought, you know, like what you were saying about this is the last great moment of us being a member of the American Conference. Like, that was the way I viewed it. I'm like, you know, this is it. I mean, for you to have a player get drafted, you know, in the NBA draft, especially in the first round, that's a huge accomplishment. So this is it. This is like our last great moment. Then we're moving on. And it's hard for me to come up words for this. I am just like so excited right now. And well, let me just get you guys up to speed. So based on all the draft predictions we've seen, Taylor is predicted to go somewhere between possibly 6 all the way up to either like the 11th or 12th. So the first few picks, like right now, we got Commissioner Adam Silver. He's up at the podium. Spurs are about to be on the clock, who will most likely be picking Victor Wembanyama. I know I just pronounced his name, but until, you know, he gets on there, we're going to be answering, you know, we're going to be talking a whole bunch of stuff, not just UCF basketball, but UCF softball, hopefully with Eric Lopez when he joins us. Anything UCF football or anything that you guys, our viewers, want to ask us about, just shoot us a question or a topic either on Twitter or in our live chat, and we'll be sure to answer it. We're going to have a lot of fun. So, Bryson, once again, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you want to start off with? What do you want to talk about with UCF?
Well, let's just go ahead and give our viewers an idea of where we are right now. I currently have the NBA draft playing on the monitor next to me right here, and Commissioner Adam Silver has just come up to address the crowd and call the draft open. So the countdown clock will start very soon for the San Antonio Spurs. And I know I was watching the pre-festivities earlier, the pre-show, and they were talking about. I noticed that Jay Bilas had Taylor Hendricks as the sixth best player available.
Right.
So I guess now is the time to really lock it in. I think right as the draft is beginning, where do you think Taylor Hendricks is going to get selected?
He's gotten so much hype, like, as we've gotten closer to the draft, you know, like I remember when we first started seeing those mock drafts, it was maybe around like the 12 or the 11 spot, but he's dropped all the way down to, you know, 6. Now, who has the 6th pick? My Orlando Magic. Would I like to see him go there? 100%. And I would not be shocked if he got picked there. That being said, it would also not shock me if they passed him. So while I hope he gets selected by the Magic, I'm going to go ahead and say he gets picked by the Indiana Pacers. That's going to be my prediction.
Well, last live show we did, last live show we did, I remember we were talking about how they were featuring him on their social media quite a bit. But if I were a betting man, if it's not the Magic, then I actually think it'll be to the Detroit Pistons, because they are a team that is in need of that front court height, and Taylor Hendricks is a guy that can really give that to him, and he should be able to fall that far. So here we go. The Spurs are officially on the clock. So the 2023 NBA draft has officially started. So I know that he's actually been kind of the story in sports in general over the course of the day. But what do you think about Victor there?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't know why they're keeping the clock counting down. Like, we all know who they're picking. If they don't pick him, I will be shocked. Like, of course, recently you hear all that stuff, the negative stuff, right? They question his competition. They're like, he looks a little skinny, which, but like the thing of me is like, I don't really like paying attention to those guys. The one thing I've heard about him that I disagree with is like the whole comment of, this is the most hyped prospect we've ever seen. It's like, or like we've seen in a long time. And I'm like, you sure about that? I'm pretty sure I remember hearing that hype about Zion Williamson just like a few years ago. Like, what do you mean a long time? So like, I don't know about that. I feel, in a way, I feel bad for him, because he's going to be under a ton of pressure. Like, he has to concede with all the all the hype he's been getting. I think he can live up to it. Like, I think a lot of people give him crap about his build, because obviously he's 7'5", he's a center. But the thing is, when you watch him play, he's so skilled with the ball. He can dribble, he's got great handles, he can shoot. So I don't know if it's the worst thing that could happen to him. And as I say that, the pick is in. Victor's looking a little happy. Looks like he's going to be headed up on stage soon. The one thing, it's just like, isn't it amazing just how tall he is, though? Like, did you see that video of him at New York throwing out the first pitch of the Yankees game? Like, did you see that picture of the baseball in his hand? How small he made that baseball look?
Oh yeah, basketball players are honestly, in terms of experiencing what how different different humans can be, the fact that humans can even come in that size. I mean, UCF is kind of familiar with that sort of thing with Taco Fall, but right. I mean, you see it enough with basketball.
What makes him look small? That's what's funny.
Exactly. So one other question I have for you, Nick, because we also kind of brought this up in the last show, but I want to get your thoughts on it as we go in. Taylor is also in this draft alongside fellow former American Athletic Conference player Houston's Jarace Walker. So they have Jarace Walker. Actually, Bilas has him below Taylor Hendricks as far as the best available. But do you think that that Hendricks will get selected before Walker?
To me, it's a toss-up. It really is. Like, I feel like there's a 50-50 chance it really could go both ways. Because at the end of the day, like, it's not my decision to make. It's a GM's. And it also comes down to need. I think he could. I'm going to go, if I had to guess, I'm going to say Taylor's going to go after him. Even though in my mind, I think he is the better player. I might be biased saying that, but I'm going to stand by that statement. And again, like, I want to go a little off topic, like just talking about excitement. You know how I'm watching the draft right now, obviously, and you know how they always, they got the thing scrolling, under the regular feed of going like best player available, where they say like the players in their school. I keep seeing it flash up. Taylor Hendricks, UCF. Did you ever think we'd be watching an NBA draft and seeing the words UCF as one of the best players available? Like, that's just like, how far have we come to see something like that?
Well, I think in some ways it really I think it really shows the talent that Johnny Dawkins has been able to attract to UCF. I mean, I know people give a lot of flack to Coach Dawkins but I think it comes with the fact that UCF is not a basketball school. Let's just get that out of the way right now. For a school that is not a basketball school, that is not a blue blood like a Kentucky or an Arkansas or anyone like that, to see a player that came from there gets selected here at the 2023 NBA draft is certainly an achievement as far as program standards. But it also, I think, shows like, look, we have the capability to attract NBA draft level talent, lottery pick level talent to UCF. So why not do more of that?
Right.
You know?
I 100% agree. And I think we've seen a lot of people like it is cool to see our guy get to go, but it's also like I think a lot of people are hoping this is something that UCF as a program can build off of, like saying, hey, we just had this guy come here, be a one and done, and he just became a lottery pick. That can happen to you if you go here. So I am hoping that helps us with attracting recruits. And as I say that, Adam Silver is heading to the podium. Let's take a listen. Please shock everyone and don't pick him. And there he goes. Victor Wembanyama is officially a San Antonio Spur. And now let Twitter complain, as they might have just looked themselves into another generational big man after Tim Duncan, who apparently they have brought him back to help coach him. So I am very interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, no, that will be very interesting. Well, now, and of course, now that you say that, I now realize that how behind my stream is of the draft right now, because Adam Silver is currently walking up to the podium for me. Because Silver is currently walking up to the podium on my stream. So I'm
sorry. Spoilers.
No, it's fine.
Sorry, spoiler who the first pick was. We never knew who it was going to be.
Well, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Look at him walking up. Just how small everyone is compared to him. Like, that's the important thing. NBA players are going to look small next to this guy. Like, I mean, this guy's in the news because he just got traded to the Warriors, Chris Paul. Chris Paul is 6 foot. Imagine him standing next to a 7'5" guy, how he's going to look. It's just, oh my gosh.
Basketball is a really fun sport in that regard.
Going over Adam Silver. And Adam Silver is like 6 foot something.
Agreed.
Oh my God. All right. Man, imagine being that man's Taylor.
Yeah. So now the weight is on. The obvious number one pick has been selected, and now the question the Taylor Hendricks watch has, I would say, begun arguably. So,
yeah. There's still a little bit of predictions. Like most people think that the guy picked second overall by the Hornets is going to be Miller. But the thing here now is there's not a clear-cut one, so you never know. So, honestly, no, actually, Taco Fall just popped up on the stream comparing to height. Give it a second. You're going to see it.
Look at that. Another UCF face featured in the NBA draft. How about that?
Yeah. Get that man back in get that man back in the league. Where's he playing right now? He's somewhere overseas, right?
Yes, I believe he's playing in Asia. He's playing in
Asia. I know he's somewhere in Asia. Is it the Chinese Basketball Association? Is that where he's at?
I'm gonna butcher this name. The Xinjiang Flying Tigers. That's which they play in the Chinese Basketball Association.
Okay, I thought I'd heard that somewhere. All right, yeah, get that man back in the league. I'd like to see him get back here. It was fun to watch, and if you ever watch those old clips of him and playing when he was in Boston, he was generally popular. Like, remember how that stadium would erupt every time he came in off the bench? Like, even at one point, their coach was hyping the crowd up. He's like, "All right, get up, he's coming." But man,
it's that type of NBA worthy talent that really attracts people. I think the more NBA talent or NBA level talent you can attract, the bigger your basketball program is going to be. It's going to be. Obviously you have obviously with the way college basketball is with these one and dones, it's a pressure for every basketball program to kind of create that culture, which is why we had people like John Calipari be as big as they are. So it's hard to be a really good program as far as basketball goes. So this is why I think UCF having Taylor Hendricks in this position at all is quite frankly amazing, because UCF's basketball program, we've seen the numbers. The basketball program is not exactly the best as far as resources is concerned. And yet, given all of that, Taylor Hendricks was still Taylor Hendricks still decided to come here. So it is possible to lure NBA level talent if Taco Fall hadn't proven already. I think if you have to compare Taylor Hendricks and Taco Fall, a two-way contract between the NBA and the G League like Fall is a little bit different from something like a lottery pick like Taylor Hendricks is.
Right. Because depending on where you get selected, there's a pretty solid chance that Taylor's going to be a starter, which I don't know if Taco ever was in an NBA game. So it's a big difference, and we keep saying it, and we're probably gonna keep saying it throughout the stream. And as we get closer to the NBA season, what Taylor's about to do is a really big deal, and it's gonna help the program. And speaking of the program, we have to give a shout out to them, because if you've been following them on social media, they've been hyping him about to get drafted up a lot. They've been bringing in former players as well as all their coaches who used to play in the NBA, Johnny Dawkins and all his assistants, talking about what it was like for them to get drafted. They're, throwing it over to the football team and having those guys hype them up. They're really, they're not ignoring this. They're playing this up as a really big deal. They're showing their support behind Taylor, and that is so cool to see. And I think it's only helped build excitement, especially me. And I think it's helped build excitement for UCF fans.
Well, I think that when you have a program like UCF who isn't used to having this sort of thing, you think of a Kentucky, right, where they could have multiple players in line for lottery selections in the NBA for the NBA draft. The less of something you have, the more scarcity it has, the more special it is. And so UCF has essentially the circumstance of being able to feature all of its coverage around this one guy, and thus is able to make it a lot more personable. It's about supporting your own, supporting your own. And they've really done that throughout this entire hullabaloo. I talked with Eric Lopez, and Eric Lopez has been loving this, this kind of NBA draft series that they kind of have going here, talking to Taylor, talking to his brother Tyler, Johnny Dawkins, Taco, just Jermaine Taylor. All this history of UCF and the NBA to culminate in what is probably the biggest UCF NBA related moment in its program's history, arguably.
100%. And when in the middle of that, I was just thinking this, because we all know Taylor's there. So when he gets his name called, he's going to go up on the stage. He's going to shake the commissioner's hands. I didn't get to watch the pregame where they were showing all the people in the audience, but I gotta wonder if there's another UCF basketball player there. Is his brother Tyler there too?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he was. I mean, he is his twin brother. So I mean,
hold on. And it is Brandon Miller. He is going to the Charlotte Hornets.
All right.
So sorry for interrupting. Go on. What were you saying about you think Tyler's there?
I think so. I mean, he's your twin brother. You got to show up.
He has to be
to support your twin brother. I think he's probably going to be there. So your point though, is that not one but two UCF basketball players are technically in New York for that event?
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool. Get some representation.
Oh, but, yeah.
As I said, Brandon Miller, the forward from Alabama. He is going to Charlotte, and this might be fun. Did you see that interview he gave when someone asked him, who do you think is the greatest? And he said, it's not LeBron, it's not Jordan, it's Paul George. Did you see that interview?
I did not.
He said Paul George was the GOAT, which I got to be honest, for how much crap he's getting for that, I got to say I feel bad for Paul George, because people are making fun of him because they're he's not the GOAT. And I'm sorry, Paul, you're a good player, but the funny thing for me is I've seen so many people joke. They're do you think he's saying Paul George is better than Jordan so Jordan won't draft him to the Hornets? Because remember, Michael Jordan, as of right now, he's going to sell the team soon and give up power. But right now, he's the owner and the person mainly in charge of basketball operations for the Charlotte Hornets. So what do you think? Do you think he was trolling? Do you think he was serious, or do you think he was trying to keep the Hornets from drafting him?
I think part of that could easily just be maybe part of a character thing. Maybe there's something just about Paul George's character that he admires, and that's why maybe we're because when we all talk about the GOAT, we talk about pure basketball skills and right on the arena. That's usually what we kind of talk about when we refer to as a GOAT. But I think that GOAT has also been used in other purposes as well. So Paul George could easily be anybody's GOAT, especially
in all seriousness, like I just said that because I thought that was a funny story, but honestly, I think he probably said that because Paul George is probably just a player he grew up admiring, and it's not like he's wrong for doing that. He's a good player, and I respect him for that. But
exactly,
with that now over, the Portland Trailblazers are now on the clock. Once again, a lot of people think they know where he's going, but once again, we're getting closer and closer where it's starting to become more likely that Taylor could get selected. So we shall see. I will say this. If he doesn't get picked by Portland, once this pick passes, it's time to get alert because I think Houston or Detroit, that'd be the shocker teams that he goes to. And then obviously 6 and all the way up to 12, that's where he's predicted to go, somewhere in that range. So once this third pick is over, it's Taylor Hendricks. It's officially Taylor Hendricks watch time.
Got it. Well, while we wait on that, several UCF stories to kind of catch us up on while we're doing that. So, breaking last week, I broke this down on a Twitter thread. But Rich Wallace, the new UCF head baseball coach, has his coaching staff. He is retaining Ted Tom as the hitting coach. He's bringing in Norberto Lopez from Miami as a recruiting coordinator. And then we have Drew Thomas coming from the Milwaukee Brewers organization. And before that, Coastal Carolina to be the new pitching coach. So I spoke about this hire on a Twitter thread. But Nick, what are your thoughts now that Rich Wallace has assembled his coaching staff to usher UCF baseball into the Big 12 in 2024?
I think it's a good staff. And I'm also glad that he did it relatively quickly because it's like, all right, we don't have to because some guys, they can't find it and it takes them a little bit. But the fact that he got it out of the way real quickly, it means, okay, now we can get into the important stuff, recruiting and getting the team ready for next year. And I also do appreciate that he kept some coaches around because that, keeps that familiarity. Because I know as, a lot of athletes, I like that. So they have someone they recognize from last year, the people who are staying over from the Lovelady era. So I think that can help, with locker room cohesion, chemistry, and all that. But overall, like you said, these guys, they have a lot of experience.
I recall seeing a tweet where a UCF baseball recruit said that after speaking with Coach Tom and Coach Wallace that he would remain committed to UCF. I remember one of the fears that I initially had when the coaching change was initially done was, what will this do with how many players could flight from UCF?
100%. Because we already saw a few players currently on the staff and then who committed to UCF changing their commitment.
So the fact that Ted Tom is staying, I think is very good as far as keeping things where they are. It's not a complete and utter reboot. It's just we need to make a change in order to be better than where we are now.
It's right. It's the kind of thing where it doesn't feel like this isn't a reboot, more like it's like a retooling kind of thing. So there's familiarity, but there's also that newness. So you can still have some of your chemistry that you had last year and feel comfortable while also having, some new things in there that can help make you better. Overall, and I think it's a really good staff, and I think this is a good staff to help a coach who's about to become a head baseball coach at the collegiate level for the first time. So you got a staff. Now we just got to see who we get some recruiting. And as I say that, the Portland Trailblazers are about to pick. Let's see who they take.
I think I've caught up now with the stream. I think is now I'm seeing the selection. It is Scoot Henderson from the G League.
That is a jacket. Woo! That is some fire from the NBA G League Ignite. So Scoot Henderson is going to the Portland Trailblazers, and with that, Houston is on the clock. And now, I don't think he's going to go here because it would be a shock, but it could happen. Now, Taylor Hendricks might be go, so now let's keep our eyes open.
Elsewhere across the UCF universe, another athlete a couple of athletes that are worthy of shout outs today. Two softball athletes. Katie Burge was selected to the Great Britain women's national team recently, where they will be to play some summer international softball with them. They have the World Baseball Softball Confederation World Cup coming up. So Katie Burge will get to be with the team for that spot, and of course they'll also be that team is preparing to play for a potential spot in LA 2028 as well, should baseball softball get selected. And then Jada Cody is going to be going back to Japan. Last summer Jada Cody was with the US national softball team as they went on an international trip to Japan, and Jada Cody will be back with them once again for this season. Thoughts on that, Nick?
Man, like, what more can you say about that? It's another cap in what's been a fantastic softball season. Just more accomplishments from some of our better players. Just another cap and another trophy in just huge trophy case. It's just, even when the softball season is over, our softball team keeps giving us reason to be excited and proud, and all it does is just make me more excited for next year. And the only thing I wish I could have is seeing Eric's reaction when he found this out, because I'm sure he must have been just so excited. I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine what he would look like when he found out. Hopefully he'll be joining us soon, so we can ask him that.
Yeah, I think the key significance, I think, of all this is that LA 2028, the Olympics is going to be coming soon, coming before you know it. It's going to be a while still.
Obviously we got one other Olympics between that, but it's coming. And personally, like, with how popular the World Baseball Classic was, and you see it kind of the rise in popularity of baseball and softball recently, like, I think it will be in there. So I'd love to see some UCF representation on the national scale at the Olympics.
I think it really shows, I think, that both Jada and Katie, for their respective teams, that their national teams are still thinking about them. And that classic, Jack Sparrow moment of you might be the worst pirate I've ever seen, but you heard of me. And so the fact that these national teams are still calling both athletes back to them for these international events shows that they are still thinking of them. And that is important when you really think about, when you then consider, okay, who am I going to select for a potential Olympics roster?
100%. I think we'll see some selections. And for all we know, as Coach Bear keeps, or as Coach, I don't know what I'm saying, Coach Paul Malone keeps doing our magic, we might be getting some more players who we might be saying going to the international level pretty soon. I'm really confident that, either through recruitment or for transfers, because as we know, when it comes to getting good transfers, she's one of the best.
Well, and so was Coach Dawkins.
True, 100%.
Speaking of coaching, so coaching internationally, which Coach Paul Malone has done. For a former U.S. national rowing team rower has been selected as the new head coach of the UCF rowing program. Mara Allen has been on the Texas staff for the past 8 seasons. Just last year, she was promoted to an associate head coach after Texas won back-to-back NCAA rowing championships. So it's clear that they had to raise her salary in order to keep her around just that extra year. But now she is going to be coming to UCF to usher UCF rowing into the Big 12 era.
100%. Obviously, if you offer assistant coach a pay raise, that means they're pretty good. So that's something to get excited about. But the bigger thing for me is with what happened with, the scandal and our coach getting dismissed. That whole thing was really messy, and it kind of just put this dark cloud over the rowing season, which is something you always just feel really bad for when it comes to the actual athletes. So now that we have this, I think I speak for the members of the UCF rowing program, where they can just say, now that we have our coach, hopefully we can just move on from this and try to succeed in the Big 12, which I hope happens.
Yeah.
And now for something a little more positive, we were talking about international softball. Well, let's talk about someone, a UCF alumni who just got selected for international competition in a different sport, soccer. Sean Johnson, who previously was a member of the U.S. men's national team when they won the CONCACAF Nations League title, has now been selected for the roster that will compete for the CONCACAF Gold Cup, which will be starting in just a few days for the United States. And they're probably the favorites. He probably will not be starting because Matt Turner, who won the Nations League title, will most likely still be there. But still, he's on the roster. So UCF getting some national recognition for at the soccer level, and that's just every time I see him, man, it makes me so excited. You see our U.S. soccer team doing well. I see a familiar face, and every time I'm watching, I don't care who I'm with, I just point him out. I'm like, hey, look, it's Sean. Let's go.
Yeah, this will be the 4th Gold Cup that Sean Johnson will be on the roster for in his career with the U.S. national team, and I think it just goes to show that the soccer team, because we've seen the U.S. women's soccer program, get on the national team before, like Michelle Akers being where she is, Amy Allman, the history with the U.S. women's national team. But Sean Johnson now making a mark with the U.S. men's national team really helps, I think, elevate the status as far as that soccer program goes. And he's been doing goalkeeping for quite a long time. Like the staying power that this man has had as an international level goalkeeper is quite admirable, because he was on that Gold Cup team a decade ago.
He was also on the World Cup team, which for me was the biggest thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have a UCF guy in the World Cup. That's incredible. Oh, and as I say that, Houston is now making their selection. Let's say who they take.
All right,
Ahmed Thompson from Overtime Elite. Another guard. All right. So not Taylor yet. Now we got the Detroit Pistons up. The wait continues, but we're getting close.
This is this is where I guess I can put my money where my mouth is on this one, because this was the one.
This is your prediction. Let's see what happens.
This is where I think that Taylor is going to be, because Detroit, he gives the things, the traits that Detroit, I think, needs in their roster at the moment, because they are short, I think, on very tall front court players, and Hendricks would very much give that to him. And if he's going to start right away, then I think that Detroit is a team where he can really do that with.
100%. And I know you were really excited about this because you were talking to us about it. So I'll let you introduce it to our viewers as we talk about the success of UCF. We have some volleyball news.
Yes, volleyball just recently posted their vlog from their European trip, where going across Europe, and we kind of touched on this, I think, in a previous show. But to give that I think that if there's any way that you're able to get a program that is going through a transition like it is, bonded together, then just send them on a trip internationally to Europe. It's something like straight out of like a National Lampoon movie or something like that, where you're going through this transition. Coach Maurer in a new position as the head coach, bringing in a brand new staff. Several new players are going to be coming in as well. What better way to build a bond with each other than by going on this trip to Europe, where volleyball is a much more popular sport out there than it is here. It also, I think, is a big boon as far as recruiting goes, because you see, men's soccer and women's soccer, and even basketball has done this too, recruiting international born players, and volleyball hasn't really done that all that much, not as much as the other programs have. So getting the chance to showcase UCF volleyball in Europe could be a way to really drum up that interest, to maybe I could go, play volleyball in the States and get my college degree at the same time. So I haven't seen the vlog yet. It's 37 minutes. So I want to make sure that I have time. I blot out, I blot out the time.
Hey, if it's a long one, clearly they've done a lot, which is something to be excited about. But yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I want to check it out, but I just haven't had the time yet. I'll probably do it after the draft tonight, honestly.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, just and benefits for UCF aside, man, just like man, that must be so fun to get to go travel the world and see that. Just so
well,
like,
several UCF players are doing that. I mean, we got Jay.
yeah, so yeah, hey, I mean, I'm not talking to them. I'm talking all of that. Like that's just got to be a cool experience. I hope they're enjoying themselves as the Pistons continue to be on the clock. And what else we got to talk about? Oh, UCF football has had a couple of new additions. Any in particular you're excited about?
Yes, so they recently announced the official commitments of several transfers, one of which we did not know about because usually football athletes like to post their admittance on the transfer portal on their Twitter account before the official signing rolls around. But this one didn't do that, which honestly I respect that. I really do. And that is Corey Gamage, a wide receiver from Marshall. He was an all Sun Belt honorable mention selection last year, caught 52 passes, 774 yards, 6 touchdowns. And I mean, I'll tell you what, between him, Trent Whittemore, Chauncey Magwood, like we're seeing, I think, some good turnover because I know some people were probably a little worried about what would happen with Ryan O'Keefe departing and Jordan Johnson, of course, left as well. Like the wide receiver Quan Lee left for Florida A&M. So the wide receiver depth, I think, is very much been addressed at this point. And so I am very interested to see what this wide receiver room is going to bring moving forward. The other people that were announced were official signees that had made their intentions clear of transferring to UCF before. Like those like DeCorian Patterson from Middle Tennessee State, Ryan Davis from Georgia, Xavier Williams from Charlotte, Isaiah Paul from Washington State, Sean Peterson from FIU, Derek LeBlanc from Oklahoma, and then of course as walk-ons you have Gunnar Smith as a walk-on from USF, and then you also have Drake Metcalf who came over from Stanford. So that last string of tweets was kind of just the official welcome for these players to the UCF football team, which is really good because in this age of the transfer portal, you could have an athlete change their decision on a dime. So this is where we can officially be like, all right, they're going to be here.
The graphic for the Pistons says that the pick is in. I'm just keep turning to my TV because I want to hear it because it could happen here. But before that does, I want to let it be known UCF's been posting. We can't confirm that not only is Tyler Hendricks there, Coach Johnny Dawkins is there supporting his guy. Just another reason why I think we all love Johnny at the end of the day because he is a player's coach. His players love him and he's so supportive. And here's Adam Silver to make the announcement.
All right.
It is Asar Thompson, guard from Overtime Elites.
Isn't that other pick's brother? They think they were talking about brothers.
Yeah, that's right. They're twins in this draft. I don't know if that's him, but I think that's one of them. But so yeah, we're gonna have twins in that. But it is not a Taylor Hendricks, it's Asar Thompson. But now any pick could be him. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna switch my hats because number 6 on the clock is my Orlando Magic. So I gotta support my team. And I would not be shocked if he goes here. I know some people might question fit and all that, but I don't care if it's a fan service pick. Make it happen, man. I want to see it.
Interesting to me that the Pistons decided to go guard. I guess maybe that either they're really confident in the forwards they do have, or they just or they're looking to go small ball.
It's either that or like obviously like free agency just started, so maybe they're hoping to pick up somebody. And speaking of NBA free agency, oh my gosh, how much already craziness do we have? Like Chris Paul is going to the Warriors, Porzingis is going to the Celtics, a bunch of big transfers already, and it's only the first day.
Well, Chris Paul's been traded twice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's true. He got traded there, and the Wizards immediately flipped into the Warriors, which for Jordan Poole, which that's a weird selection. Like, not that he's a bad player, but it's just more like, what's the fit there? I don't really understand it. I mean, maybe Chris finally gets a ring, but that whole thing was just like, I was not expecting that when just opened up Instagram today, and I was scrolling, and I just saw him like, wait, what? He's a Warrior now? Like, how many star players is this team gonna get?
Well, I mean, the Phoenix Suns, the Phoenix Suns, I think, really made their intentions known. I think as far because trading for Bradley Beal and to bring him into this big three with Booker and Durant, I think really showed you that it's amazing. When I started at UCF back in in the right before the pandemic, the Phoenix Suns were not good.
I remember.
They were not good. So to see them, come on this meteoric rise these past few years has been nuts. And oh wow, the pick was immediate for the Orlando Magic.
The pick is in.
The graphic is showing that the pick is in now.
Come on.
I'll tell you what,
it's going to be a little bit before they announce it, but my eyes are glued to this TV. Oh God.
If the Magic are going to go forward, it's either going to be him or it could be Jarace Walker. But Cam Whitmore from Villanova is the other one. Like if the Magic are going to go forward, I think really the battle is going to be, is it going to be Whitmore or is it going to be Hendricks? Now Hendricks is definitely the one to put people in seats because he's the hometown guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're a GM of the Magic, you gotta pick the team, pick what works best for your team. So I'm very intrigued to see how this one plays out.
Jay Bilas has him as Taylor as the second best player currently available. If he falls, a lot of people think. I will say this: if Taylor falls to 11th, which the Magic have, they would be picking him immediately. Although a lot of people have been saying that they think the Magic are going to trade that pick, but we'll see.
Well, they didn't trade the pick because the pick is in.
No, not 6, the 11th pick.
Oh, the 11th one. Okay.
I was saying if he falls down to that, they'll definitely pick him unless they trade it, or they. This is like one of the things that pisses me off as a Magic fan. Do you remember like years ago where they drafted DeMonte Sabonis and then like immediately traded him for Serge Ibaka, who only played like half a season for them? It's like that's why we've been struggling for so long. Just don't do that. I don't know. Oh God, like I'm excited as a Magic as a UCF fan for Taylor Hendricks, but I'm also just like as a Magic fan, I'm like I just feel like we're so close to breaking out with how Banchero and Franz Wagner have been doing. I'm just like, please, just give us someone who can finally get us over that hump and make this an enjoyable team again. I beg. All right, they just ended the interview with Thompson, which means Adam Silver might be coming out here soon.
All I can think of now with this whole Thompson twins is, remember that song "Hold Me Now"?
Oh my God! Oh, here we go. He's up. Here we go. Whoa!
All right, guard Arkansas.
Anthony Black from Arkansas. I don't think any of us were expecting that. I thought we were either thinking Hendricks or Whitmore. Okay.
Well, looking at the Magic roster,
I'm not complaining. Like he's a good player who was expected to go and be a lottery pick. It's just it's not who I was expecting.
You're very true, very true. I mean, when you look at who they have in that backcourt right now, you have Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, that's fair. And I will also point this out. When they had the first pick last year, I was not expecting them to go Paulo Banchero, and I was really shocked when they did. That one worked out pretty well for us. So I'm going to give them the benefit on the doubt this one. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. Anthony Black, welcome to Orlando. That's what I'm going to say there.
Yeah. Michael Carter Williams as well. Yeah, it seems like that you definitely want to. It seems like you want to have somebody that gets to pair with Carter Williams on there, or him or Cole Anthony to really seal up that backcourt, because I mean, having Jonathan Isaac and Bol and Banchero there in that front court, they seem to kind of know what they're doing.
I mean, I'm wondering about Isaac. I think they might try to trade him, because he doesn't play as much, they're paying him a lot of money, but he gets hurt too much. It's unfortunate, but it's the business. You don't play, they don't want you. But negatives aside, the Indiana Pacers are on now, and if we all remember, Taylor worked out for that team. There's a lot of clips going around, and if you also remember, if you were watching from the start of the stream, that's the team I predicted that he's going to go to. So he could very well go in here now.
Yeah, let's see if we're both going to be. So far, I've eaten my words. Let's see if you have to eat yours.
I don't know. Like, with Whitmore available, like, I don't know. Like, the thing is, like, the Pacers are like such a quiet team. Like, you don't even know. Like, do they have any forward? Did they need a forward, which is what Whitmore is?
Well, he's also a Hendricks as well. So I mean,
that is true. Okay, yeah. There's right. So that's the point. So like, do they go him?
Well, they do have. Let's see. We got Serge Ibaka, Shea Brissett, James Johnson, Aaron Nesmith. Their centers are Daniel Theis, Miles Turner, and Gabe York. So
Miles Turner, very underrated.
So I mean, I say from a height perspective, they could certainly use it. I think they could very well use it. Miles, maybe somebody to pair up with Miles Turner and as a power forward. I could see where that maybe what a thought process of selecting Taylor Hendricks or Cam Whitmore would be like right there. So I mean, I can see why people would say that Hendricks is going to the Pacers, but with Whitmore still on the table and Drace still on the table too.
Yeah, like it's not. He's gonna be picked soon. Like we're gonna be watching each pick that goes by very closely now because anyone he's gonna get picked, and the Pacers pick is in, and it looks like they might be wrapping up the interview with Black right now. So, which means they might go to. Nope, they're still going. So we're gonna wait. But as Taylor falls down, I want to test your knowledge a little here.
Oh.
So, who is the highest drafted athlete from UCF in any sport, and what pick was it?
In any sport? Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the three major ones. So, basketball, baseball, football.
Basketball, baseball, football. Okay. I'm going to say, let's see. Is it Blake Bortles?
It is.
Hey!
Third overall pick.
Third overall pick. There we go. And look at that. Perfect timing. Adam Silver is coming up.
Here we go. This could be him. Come on, Taylor.
All right. French for Bilal
Coulibaly. Whoa. Whitmore and Taylor are dropping a little bit here.
And I don't know what time it is in France right now, but for those people but I imagine that, French Americans right now are having French American basketball fans are having themselves a party. They now have 2 top 10 NBA draft picks under their belt right now. Nice night for French basketball fans.
Yeah. Did you see that stat that just popped up? He said in 2020, this guy was 5'11", and then he had a growth spurt and grew to 6'8".
Wow. I mean, if you're familiar with UCF volleyball, you know that a certain GOAT by the name of McKenna Melville went through a similar type of went through a growth spurt and turned from a libero into one of the best outside hitters NCAA volleyball has ever seen. So growth spurts are really interesting in sports, especially when you
you always hear like the best players, like guys like Anthony Davis or who we just mentioned, like they always used to be like so short, and they're like, he doesn't have the height to play, and then just in like a couple months he goes through this massive growth spurt, and then he's a giant. So I can't get over this. Like nothing against I know I'm gonna mispronounce his name, but against Bio here, but like he was predicted to go in the lottery pick, but like not this high. Like he just got picked over to over Whitmore and Hendricks. I thought they would have beaten them, but clearly the Pacers saw something that we didn't. So man, just wow.
Well,
okay.
Let's see if we can get a little bit of insight on this, because Eric Lopez is
just fulfilling a lot of commitments right now. So making so how you doing? Are you upset, Nick, that
the Magic didn't take him?
Yeah.
No, not really. Like
I called it on the Slack. Black to the Magic. It makes a ton of sense. They need guard help.
Yeah. Honestly, like I'm not really mad. Like, as a Magic fan, I'm like, just give me who can succeed. And for Taylor Hendricks, I always knew that was more of a fan service thing. Wherever he goes, as long as it's in the lottery pick, I'll be happy. So I'm not actually disappointed. But I mean, he's dropping, and the Magic's pick is.
Well, when you say he's dropping, I mean the 6 to 11 range is where
That's
a lot of
true. No,
he hasn't dropped. Actually, Walker from Houston is the one that's kind of dropping a little bit. This is what I'm intrigued by: is which one of those two goes first.
True.
Now, what's interesting here is obviously this is Washington's pick, right? Or they trade because obviously the big Indiana.
The pick is in.
Okay. Are we using Sham here? I mean, Sham's leaking everything. So.
No, I'm watching it. I got my TV over in the corner there, and I'm just like watching it. So like they say the pick is in, but they always do it like while they're in the middle of an interview. So they drag it out for like 3 minutes. So we got time. But
Walker's going. So I just answered that. So Walker goes before Hendricks does from Houston. Bryson, we saw him both. We saw both of these guys play up close in person. And I remember when people got mad that Hendricks wasn't Rookie of the Year of the American, that Walker won it. I said Walker's probably going to go before Hendricks does, and I guess that's about to happen. So looks like Walker is going, according to Sham. Indiana is selecting Walker at number 8 via the Wizards. This is that weird Washington, Indiana flip. So I don't even want to.
Well, it says the pick is in for Washington.
Yeah, TV's always behind Twitter. So
because they like drag it out, like they give them like 3 minutes, and they talk forever. Like they have to have the interview with the player, which I get. That's always nice. But then they gotta like throw Adrian Wojnarowski on there, and it's like, dude, I respect you, but like, just get to the draft pick, man.
Well, here's the thing. Now Utah is a lot of people thought Utah would take him at 9, so that could be where he ends up. You got Utah, Dallas, Orlando. I actually think he'd be a great fit at Dallas. At 10,
that's what I thought. Like that was who he was projected to go to for a while.
I think that would make a ton of sense.
So maybe, I don't know. Like, do you think he could drop to 11 and the Magic could get him there?
Sure,
like,
it could. He could.
I don't know. Like,
because Whitmore from Villanova is still available there. I mean,
I thought he would have been picked by now. Honestly, I'm a little shocked by that. Yeah.
I could reading kind of following the draft stuff. He kind of is one that's dipped a little bit because he's too old. You know,
I was saying Hendricks is dropping when that was bad choice of words. He's not really. Whitmore is the one who's dropping. I thought he would have gone by now, but
I just think I don't even care where he goes. I just want him to go to a good situation and not a bad situation.
That's me. Like at the end of the day, like as much as I'd like to see him on the Magic just for fan service,
look, let's be real. We're selfish. If he went to the Magic, we're getting credentials.
100%. We are having fun with that. But at the end of the day, I want him to succeed because if he succeeds, it's great for UCF. And also just like, we've gotten to know him a little bit over the year. And he's just a good person, and you want to see him succeed.
So apparently this is the Washington pick that's going to go to Indiana. This is the other thing I hate about the NBA draft is they make these trades, but nobody's going to know about it until later. So he's going to put on this hat. He's going to put on this Washington hat only to flip it later to be an Indiana hat. So,
okay. All right. So it's official. Walker just got picked. He's going up on stage. Utah is now on the clock. And speaking of trades, like, weren't we talking? Do you think that I still think that the Magic, though, are going to trade that number 11 pick? Do you?
I think there's a chance because you do. I mean, they got so many young guys. At some point, you can't have them all. So I can see them trying. But I think they tried to move up with those 2 picks. Was not successful. They weren't. Now the question is, do they flip that pick? Yeah, I could see if somebody wants to move up, I could see the Magic trading that pick. I agree, and that's why you got to be. That's why you got to listen, or if you're following on Twitter, don't jump to that conclusion. Like I'm actually have an article ready. It's kind of weird because I have it ready to where we're going to write about Taylor Hendricks, where he's drafted, but I also got to be careful to make sure he doesn't get traded. So that's a nightmare scenario.
Right. I was just saying this earlier before you came on, but like, do you remember like a few years ago when the Magic drafted Sabonis and then traded him to Serge Ibaka?
Oh, well, and that set the Magic franchise
back. Like, God, like that's like, as a Magic fan, like I look back on that, that's one of my worst memories as a fan.
Well, they had a nice young nucleus. I covered that team. They had Tobias Harris was young. They had Oladipo was young. They had a nice team that was fun to watch.
That's the other thing that frustrates me. You look back, and they had good players.
And they panicked, though. They panicked because they're like, hey, we got to make the playoff. So they made that stupid trade for Ibaka where they traded Oladipo and they threw in the pick. I remember they threw in the Sabonis pick. Oh, it was atrocity. So you don't want to do that if you're the Magic. Maybe they learn, that's a different management. So
I don't know. Yeah. Like, I'm
there
not
you go, right? Boys, we can both, because you're right, because you were there too, Nick. That was your, I think so. That's where I met you at the Houston game. Jarris Walker, top 8 picks. So we could say that we saw Jarris Walker, perhaps Hendricks. We could say we saw 2 top lottery picks, perhaps 2 top 10 picks on the court that night of UCF Houston.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because to me, I mean, I had seen him a bunch, and Taylor, I remember like earlier he had that great game against Memphis, probably the best game of the most entertaining game of the year. But the Houston game, to me, that's when I knew how talented Taylor was, because, and it wasn't more what he did when he was on the court, but it was what happened when he got sent off. Because if you remember, there was some kind of like light fouls. I remember Kyle Nash, student of the game, he was complaining about it, but because of that, they had to take him off a bunch. And when he wasn't on the court, that's when they struggled. When he was in, it looked like they could beat him. So that was the thing that made me realize, oh, this kid is special, because when you see that big of a difference in production when he's on and not on the court, that's when I realized, okay, we might have a really special player here. You're muted.
Do you want to know who Utah took, or do you want to wait?
If it is who I think it is, because I've been the Banneret crew, for those who don't know,
if it's him, I want to see it on the TV.
All right. Well, then I'm going to sign off, because I got to get ready to write some stuff. So
okay.
Okay. Hey, it could be in the next couple of picks. I'm not saying that. I say nothing. They say nothing.
Right.
I'll be back.
No. Okay. All right, man. We will see you. Okay, he might have just spoiled it, but I'm still gonna freak out if it happens. Utah's pick is in. Is it happening? Let's see.
They're still interviewing DeRace at the moment. I'm telling you what, though, seeing if it is Hendricks that we're seeing go right now, then the fact that that seeing them 2 go back to back in this would certainly be very interesting. Looking at the Utah Jazz at the moment, that front court, they have Kelly Olynyk, they got Lauri Markkanen down over at power forward, Jarrell Brantley. As far as centers, Micah Potter, Walker Kessler, Damian Jones. I could see Hendricks maybe doing a center, maybe something along those lines.
Could be.
The Jazz, though, I think would certainly be a good situation for him. Like, I think they're very well coached. They're a very underrated team.
Yeah, they had some struggles, but they've been good constantly. Obviously, some of that was due to having Donovan Mitchell, but I think they can get back to that. But man, the only downside is, man, you got to fly this guy out to the opposite side of the country, make it harder for us to watch him. But I hope. By the way, we keep talking about them like dragging this draft process out. They literally like just showed the stage where like the graphic says pick is in, and one of the commentators just goes, and the Utah Jazz are on the clock. It's like, nope, they got their pick in. Why are we going to commercial? Like, we're on commercial right now. I don't know why this is.
Yeah, it's TV. It's TV, my friend. It is TV.
Yeah.
That is TV.
That's the thing. I like watching drafts, but at the end of the day, I more prefer to like look back on them to see like what happened. Like earlier today when I was on the JP Peterson show, we put out this poll saying what is the best draft to watch, and the majority of people said NFL. But the thing for me is when you want to talk about like drafts that like constantly produce like great talent, at least in terms of the first round, I would say it's the NHL. And the reason I say that is if you want to see an example of that, look up like every first overall pick in the NHL draft since like 2000. There's only like 1 or 2 players you can legitimately consider it a bust. So, just wanted to give hockey some love on the Black and Gold Banneret show here. So, yay. I don't know. That was random. But anyway.
Well, Utah is I'm looking at
Yes, thank you for getting me out of that. That was awkward.
Utah is a very tall team. Like, they have 6 people that 6'10" or higher last year.
Wow.
Last year. So, Taylor Hendricks. So, it seems like they're the type of team that really goes for height. Like, they really want that. They really want to play that, tall ball. over there.
That is true. But also, you could argue that because they have so much height, if they do pick him here, we might want to wait a little bit because do they flip him, as Erica just said? See if they can trade for somebody. That will be it. I don't know.
That's the other thing with the NBA draft, because like you can see, because something with that happens in the NBA draft that I don't really see happen in other drafts is that people can get selected by one team and then get swapped on a dime.
Yeah.
The only time in the NFL that I think I've seen that happen was with I believe Drew Brees and I think or something like that. I think that happened with or was it Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers, something like that?
Yes, that was it. I'm like, wasn't Drew Brees? Yes, it was Eli Manning. He was selected first overall by the San Diego Chargers, even though he has said, I'm not playing for them. So they flipped him to the Giants, who had just picked Phillip Rivers. That's what happened. I think it happens a little bit more, but it's like even then they give it some build up, like they wait but you're right. It is a lot more rarer than it is in the NBA. Like it happens all the time in the NBA. Like one of the most famous ones in Orlando was they picked Chris Webber first overall and then immediately flipped him to I believe it was Golden State to get Penny Hardaway, the coach for the Memphis Tigers, who just unfortunately got suspended for recruitment violations.
Yeah, not fun. All right, here we go.
Adam Silver's coming out. Is this the moment?
Turn it up.
Come on. Say it. Yes, sir. Let's go.
The number 9
overall pick. The Utah Jazz select Taylor Hendricks. He is a top 10 pick. We officially have a top 10 pick from UCF in the NBA. Congratulations, Taylor Hendricks. He is going to Salt Lake City. He is a member of the Utah Jazz. I am so excited. And as I say this, his brother Tyler just got shown up on the stream. Bryson, let's celebrate. Let's bask in this. We have a UCF guy has just been selected in the top 10. Oh, my gosh.
No matter what, you cannot take this away from him. Even if he's swapped, you can never change the fact that he just got selected number 9 overall in the NFL draft. And you know what? The parallels is funny because what round did Benny Shaw, the very first UCF men's basketball player to be selected in the NBA draft, go in? The 9th. Ain't life funny sometimes?
It'd be like that. They just showed him he's hugging Johnny Dawkins. There it is. We're seeing some highlights. A lot of games that we got to go to.
That was, I believe I think that's the Houston. No, that's the SMU game that they're showing.
They just showed the Houston game.
There's Oregon.
They show a certain Memphis game. Not that one. But, we're seeing a lot of these. I remember that. Florida. I remember that one.
They're really highlighting the fact that highlighting his shooting range and the versatile defending that he has going on. It seems like that's a really, I think, a very good asset for a team like the Utah Jazz, who seem to be really like they're playing height. They really like to play height.
And there he is. He's up on the stage. He's giving his pose. He's got the hat on, and he's hugging Commissioner Adam Silver. He has made it. This is a huge moment for him. This is a huge moment for UCF basketball. And as you said, no matter what happens, you cannot take this away from him. You cannot take this away from UCF. It is official. UCF has produced a top 10 NBA pick. And as I say that, they're giving Tyler Hendricks more love on the screen. We will wait and see. They will probably be interviewing him pretty soon. I will be excited to see that. But, man, I just saw it. We got a comment from G. Yes, a top 10 pick. Do we have any other reactions, Bryson?
Not at the moment, but feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Any questions that you might have, any question you might have as far as the scenario or any other UCF comments, because we talked about other UCF sports, of course, right before Hendricks being selected. So any other questions you have, we will happily answer for you. But
all right, he's they're interviewing him right now, and Tyler's on the couch with him. Let's give it a little listen right now. He's with his mom. He's giving a shout out to his mom. They're asking Tyler a question right now.
What are you most proud of as your brother celebrates tonight? I'm just proud of all the work he's put in. hard worker. You've been doing this since you were little, so I'm just proud of him. He finally made it,
Taylor, as I was preparing, 6'9.5" and a 7'1" wingspan. That is something that obviously the Utah Jazz are really excited about. When you watch the NBA, you think about your game. What parts of your game translate the best?
I feel like first and foremost, my effort.
He's looking baller in that suit, in that all pink suit, by the way. Shout out to that.
I mean, I imagine, by the way, because Tyler Hendricks is still with UCF and here we have Eric back in the chat. Yeah,
he did it.
I hate where he landed.
Be positive. We can talk about that later, man. We have a top 10.
I'm not surprised. It's a great moment, obviously, for him and for the program. We can now both officially say, gentlemen, that we saw a top 10 lottery pick in person. I got to broadcast and call a game of a top 10 lottery pick. Thank you to me. Thank you. It's all about me, right? No, but here's my only obviously it's good for him. He's going to get played. What I'm interested in seeing from a basketball standpoint, they have Walker Kessler in there and Lauri Markkanen. So he's obviously going to play the 4 next to Walker Kessler to protect the rim. I think that's what Danny Ainge, that's the good news there. It'll be interesting if that fits, if those 3 can fit together, but that's an NBA topic. Obviously this is not an NBA stream. So, but good for him. I just hate the fact that he's got to be in Salt Lake, Utah instead of a real city.
I did point that out because he's all the way on the other side of the country and it's going to be kind of hard.
So from a Magic standpoint, he will only come here once a year, obviously with Utah. Yeah. So,
right.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, but let's not focus on that. This is
they can get out of there in 6-7 years and join the Heat, which will be good. So it's good.
How have you been since then?
What?
I don't know why I'm smiling. I actually feel bad for you.
Me?
Yeah.
I've been since the Heat. We got to a finals. I wasn't expecting, so
that's fair. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You know what? Props to you because you were handling that a lot better than a lot of Heat fans I've seen. I've seen.
People are unrealistic, man. I mean, come on. 3 months ago,
videos of Heat fans smashing their TV. I don't know that most of them are fake or not.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of fake. That's a.
Yeah, some of them are clearly fake. I'm like you see just people have a bat in their living room. I'm like, that's not real. But the people who throw a punch, I think that some of them aren't real.
Yeah, no, look, well, who cares? The Heat, whatever. We'll deal with that. I want Damian Lillard. That's what I want.
I think that Hendricks could not have ended up ended up in a very good place from a team makeup perspective, because when I mentioned this to Nick while you were off, that Taylor Hendricks would act according to the roster I'm looking at now, which is the roster from this past NBA season. Taylor Hendricks would be the 7th tallest player on that team. Utah looks to me as a team that really likes to play height. And I think
the NBA's tall. Like I said, Walker Kessler is a great shot blocker there. You got Lauri Markkanen. You'll have to read me who are the other front court guys. I mean, that's going to be interesting is do they play they could probably interchange him, play him at the stretch 4. Do they play him a little bit of the 3? You're right. They're trying to go big. Danny Ainge obviously knows what he's doing over there. He runs the Jazz. They have a very good young head coach. There's no pressure in Utah for him. There's not like a media spotlight there. Mm-hmm. So he'll develop. I think he'll be coached well. We'll obviously see him in the summer league, I would assume, when that gets going in Vegas. So, look, a lot of the NBA people, Nick, I know you were starting to get worried, but a lot of the NBA mock drafts had him coming here to Utah at 9.
That is true. Yeah, I wasn't really getting worried. I was more like hoping he get picked, lower.
Well, we wanted him to go to the Magic for selfish reasons.
But at the end of the day, I think Black is a good fit for us.
Now I actually have to go see the Jazz. That's the bad. Oh God.
Well, now
with Utah, man.
When does the Orlando Magic's 23-24 schedule come out?
No, that doesn't come out for another month.
Yeah, we just gotta wait.
I would say just keep an eye out for Utah on there.
Hey, listen, Summer League starts soon, so
Summer League I will be watching for him, and I said, man, it's big top 10 pick. And I've said this. I think tonight with this I've said this. Taylor Hendricks' legacy at UCF is tonight more than anything he did on the court at UCF because he was here in such a short period of time. Right. This is his legacy. He will always be the guy that was the lottery pick, top 10 pick. That's his legacy, and I think he's going to help open the door for future draft picks for you coming out of UCF, right? Because now.
Right.
if you got Johnny Dawkins, if you're UCF, you could say, look, you can come to UCF and be a lottery pick still. You don't have to go to Kansas and Kentucky or whatever. You can come to UCF and be a lottery pick as UCF enters the Big 12. I think that's very significant. So I think that's Taylor Hendricks' legacy, is that he is going to open the door for a lot of these guys. And, I think somebody asked me, I was on another live stream about
a
lot of streams today. Mount Rushmore. I think you can make the case Taylor Hendricks is on the UCF Mount Rushmore in basketball because of this night.
100%. Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I think it's him, Jermaine, Bo Clark, and then either Taco or BJ, whatever. But this is his legacy, and I think we'll go years from now when UCF is hopefully getting more and more guys drafted in the NBA in the first round. Taylor Hendricks' name is always going to pop up as the first guy, and I think that's the significance. This is a big night for the program. Johnny Dawkins being there was huge. And I think now UCF could say, yeah, we know how to develop. We could produce a lottery pick and come here as UCF enters the Big 12 for this challenging gauntlet they're about to enter. Big night from that standpoint. Huge.
100%. Yeah, like we've been saying this. Like no matter what happens, if he succeeds or not, you can't take this away from both him or UCF. They produced a top 10 pick. But what you hope is that his legacy grows from that, and that he was the first.
Right.
You hope that this is a building off point.
So
like
I will make
back on.
I'll make this comparison. I think his worst case scenario is it doesn't pan out, that he becomes the guy that people bring up and say, oh, he was the one that was taken before this guy or whatever. He could be like Chad Mottola. Chad Mottola was the highest draft pick ever in UCF baseball history. Bryson, I think you may have that in front of it. I think he was like a 7th, 8th pick overall in the baseball draft. Fifth. He was ahead of Derek Jeter. That's what he's known for.
Yeah.
Being ahead of Derek Jeter. Now, he has recovered quite nicely. He's currently the hitting coach of the Tampa Bay Rays, which you know very well, Nick. So we had Brian Murphy on here a couple of weeks ago, and the talk is he'll probably be a manager somewhere in MLB. So I think that's the worst case scenario for Taylor. If it doesn't work out on the court in basketball, he could be like the Chad Mottola. But again, Chad Mottola opened doors for guys like Jason Arnold, Justin Pope, among others that got drafted very early in the baseball draft. Same thing, I think, applies here with Taylor Hendricks if he makes it. Even if it doesn't work out, but a lot of people believe he will work out. I think he will be an NBA player. I don't know if he's an all-star or not. I got to see how that plays out. But I think he will be at worst a rotation player who can play both two ways.
He's going to need some time to develop, but I think he could have a really long, good career. Like you said, I don't know all-star or not. Like I sent you guys this earlier. Like someone had like the odds of what his chance to be an all-star was. It was like 33% or something like that. I don't really like pay attention to those because in my mind, you can never really predict what a rookie's going to do in the NBA. But that being said, he has the tools to do it. And, my Magic are about to select. I'm just going to change my hats.
Really? You're taking wow. Huh.
Jet Howard from the University of Michigan.
Another guard, Nick.
Okay.
Wow. I was not expecting them to take 2 guards.
Do you think they trade him?
Maybe. I'm kind of curious.
That's the thing. I keep saying. Like, that's the reason we're still doing the stream, even though Taylor just got selected. Like, part of me feels like there's this, considering what just happened, like, does he get flipped somewhere? And that includes with him.
Well, I mean, the Shams and the Wojs, they're very much on top of that stuff. So
that's the thing. Yeah.
A Magic one, to your point, though, is the one that's interesting. I was not expecting them.
Yeah. They selected Jet Howard, the son of Michigan legend and current head coach Juwan Howard, who knows a little bit about UCF. He came here last year. We beat him. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, wait, great stat. This is only the 5th college player taken in the first 10 picks.
Yeah, that's what's been amazing. Like, seeing all these, stats. Like, it's like you got guys from France. You got some G League.
Yeah, because people, again, are going for a potential and, not necessarily talent, but what is what it is. But that's pretty cool. To me, for me, guys, and we all hung out together there, I'm just staring at this, that Jarris Walker, Taylor Hendricks, back-to-back, 8-9.
Some big names in that game.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool.
That was a cool one to see.
Interesting little parallel. It's an interesting parallel that I found 47 years ago. Benny Shaw was the very first UCF player to get selected in the NBA draft, got selected in the 9th round. What pick did Taylor Hendricks get selected this year? The 9th. Life can be funny sometimes. But we mentioned this at the top of the stream, Eric, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this as well. And you kind of alluded to it earlier. Is the fact that Taylor Hendricks was a lottery pick, even with the resources that UCF basketball has to work with right now, shows that I think is kind of something where, like, look, this program is capable of doing it, and there could be more if more is invested into this basketball program. Like Johnny Dawkins, I think being here is no accident in terms of that as well. I mean, Johnny, they can get lottery picks. I think it's just a matter of investment, and this I think this could really be something that maybe is kind of the kick in the right direction, or a push in the right direction for UCF to invest more in basketball.
I agree 100% with that. I think that's one of the lasting legacies of Johnny Dawkins as well, to make this happen. I don't know how many coaches could have been able to get Taylor to come here, but it's a cool moment. I'm still kind of perplexed, Nick, on the Magic taking Juwan Howard's kid.
I am too.
I'm going to be right back, but yeah, I'm curious what you.
Right now, they're interviewing him. Listen, like, at the end of the day, I just want someone who can put us over the edge. So hopefully he can be it. But I don't know. I keep checking Twitter, just seeing, like, looking for. Oh,
he did something real quick. So go ahead. What were you saying, Nick?
I mean, I keep checking Twitter to see, like, does he get flipped, both him or Taylor? But I haven't seen anything, so I think it's officially safe to say there's not going to be any movements. Taylor Hendricks will be at Utah Jazz this coming season. So, man.
Woj, well, like Eric said, Woj is usually on top of things like that, and so,
right. Like, I'm on his Twitter right now. Like, I'm constantly checking, just trying to see, like, if he pops up, but I haven't seen anything yet. So.
Yeah, no, I think as far as a team perspective, Utah is definitely a team that's on the up and up, and so Taylor Hendricks going there, I mean, I don't think he's going to get the spotlight right away. Like Eric said,
no, in Utah he ain't.
So he's not going to get and maybe that's the right way to go. I mean, because that's a lot of pressure to put on a young kid.
Well, he's got a very good head coach there at Utah. I'm just curious. I'm really intrigued to see how those pieces fit with Walker Kessler and Laurie Markkinen, who had an all-star year last year up at the front court. But they're well.
Yeah, no, you're right. I forgot about that.
That's to me why I'm a little like I could see us saying, man, I can't believe Taylor's not getting more minutes. The good news for him is the Utah Jazz will not compete for the playoffs this upcoming year. So there shouldn't be pressure as far as not playing him and all that stuff. They should be able to play him and develop him. So from that standpoint, that's a good thing. Because sometimes if you go to a team that's too good, you may not play as much because they're trying to play for the playoffs. So hopefully that'll develop him well there. Man, Magic fans are a little perplexed right now, Nick.
What's their reaction been?
Not great.
Oh, geez.
I mean, if there's anything that I think that I've learned being at UCF or being in Orlando is that we are very, very loyal to the people that are from here. We really love our prodigal sons here in Orlando. I think a lot of cities are, and so whenever there's a chance that we can keep somebody here, we want to take that. We have an emotional investment in that, but sometimes it might just not be what's best for the team. And I guess in the case of Orlando, they wanted to prioritize getting 2 guards for some reason.
Yeah, Magic fans, I'm reading the tweets. Magic fans inside Amway Center mostly boo and are surprised at the Jet Howard pick and quickly file out of the building.
Oh no!
Yeah, I nobody saw that coming. Now I will say he can at least shoot. Here's what this tells me, Nick. And I am going to defend the Magic on this standpoint. I don't like their backcourt whatsoever, at all.
Yeah, fair.
Like, I know everybody's trying to push the Markelle Fultz narrative, and they play better when he's on the court. That's great. First of all, he's not on the court for a full year. Second of all, he can't shoot. I think you could do better. Suggs has been hurt. I liked him out of Gonzaga. I don't know if they're bailing. I wonder if this means they're bailing on him or not. I don't know, but he's been hurt.
Oh yeah, that's true. Maybe.
And then Cole Anthony, I think, is better off being a 6-man. He's not to me on
he's
a
not
playoff
a starter.
team.
No, I agree with you on that one. There's so many times I see him try to take over the game and he just can't. Correct. He chucks threes.
So
that he can't make.
Assuming there's no trade on this, and I know this, I just turned in this to the Magic live stream here, but I do like the Magic. Contrary to what you might think, Nick, I covered the Magic for many years in person. I was there for the Dwight Howard years. I was there in the finals. Thank you through the radio station. I've covered. So I've covered the Magic since about 05, 06 up until recently. So I do have interest in how they do, and because I do still cover the Magic to some extent from a distance, but. I think what this tells me is they just don't like their backcourt, and that they do like, and their defense. Obviously, they have Boncaro. They still have free agency. Maybe they feel they're going to get a front court guy. This makes me wonder too that they think they're still going to stick with Jonathan Isaac for another year.
Maybe, I don't know. I thought he'd be the one they'd bail on because, he
has no value right now. He's got no value.
He's never healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
He's just never there. I don't know.
By the way, Eric, Nick, I just realized this looking at Twitter, but another reason why one reason why I think Adam Silver is just a much more beloved commissioner, he actually called UCF and not Central Florida.
Good for you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for not pissing us off. Well done. Also, I think he's more beloved for other reasons. Like literally today, Rob Manfred came out and was just like, yeah, the way I handled the Astros sign stealing scandal, not punishing them. Probably could have done better. Not the best thing I've ever done.
My article is out, by the way, on Black and Gold Banneret. We have coverage of Taylor Hendricks on blackandgoldbanneret.com. Bryson has his article, and the new rowing coach is up there. We break the news there. We're going to hopefully next week, maybe, we're going to unveil our a big project that Bryson and I have been working on as well on blackandgoldbanneret.com. That'll get a lot of people talking, hopefully. But,
you guys have been hyping it up. I'm excited to see it.
Big 12 transition days coming up real soon. Also,
next week's the last week before July 1st.
Hey, so, we said it earlier, but this is it. Taylor getting drafted. That was our last great moment in the American. That was it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Taylor Hendricks is also going to be a name we're going to be talking about with the Bannies. That'll be something that's coming this summer. So, I mean, this is quite the summer for the Black and Gold Banneret. I wanted to, by the way, get your thoughts on this, Eric. Nick and I talked about this a little earlier in the stream, but two softball players getting tabbed by their respective national teams to compete with them. Katie Burge with Great Britain and Jada Cody with the U.S. for another series out in Japan. Just your thoughts.
Well, Katie Burge has been with the Great Britain team now for a handful of years, so no surprise there. She's played well there. I think she'll flourish there. And then obviously Jada's second year now. She's with the U.S. national team. That's significant. She'll play in Japan in August. I know her goal is to get an opportunity to play in the Olympics in 2028, assuming softball gets added in 2028, which, who knows? Because, Olympics don't care about sports anymore. They care about nonsense like ballroom dancing and garbage like that. But if they do care about sports again, actual sports, I think that's something that she's shooting for. I think she'll play in August. I think it's good experience. It's great exposure. We talked about Taylor Hendricks and UCF at the draft, what it means for UCF. She's the only softball player to ever play in the U.S. national team. And then obviously you have Coach Ball Malone, who's going to be the assistant once again. This is a big summer, by the way, for UCF. You have Tiffany Roberts-Ahadak, who's the assistant coach on the U.S. national team World Cup. This is coming up soon here. It starts July? Middle of July, right, Bryson? I believe it's the World Cup start. So you got that. You've got a couple of the UCF alum soccer players in the World Cup. You've got Cindy Ball Malone as the assistant on the U.S. national team. They'll be playing in the World Cup in Ireland this summer in July, middle of July. And then you got Jada Cody will be with all the college all-stars for the U.S. national team playing in the Japan All-Star Series on the first week of August. And then Katie Burge will be in the World Cup as well. So big international time for UCF. But super proud of Jada there and leaving that legacy. We talk about how Taylor Hendricks opens the door here for future UCF players to possibly get drafted. I think Jada Cody's opening doors down the road for future nights for USA. If they want to be a part of Team USA, you can come to UCF and be a part of it.
100%. I just got this message, so I want to ask you guys this. Is is Taylor Hendricks getting drafted in the first round of the NBA draft? Is that the best moment from UCF, any UCF sports this year? Is that the greatest moment?
It sounds like a nomination for the Banny's moment of the year there, Bryson. Write it down.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I think it has an argument to be.
No, I mean, I'm not, I think it's certainly, there is an argument to be made for that. I think I mean, I guess, man, if you want a little sneak preview of our thought process when looking at the Bannies, here you are. When you look at a moment, you want to make sure you examine it in terms of its impact on the field and also off it. So, for instance, something like, for example, I think this is going to be big. I think this moment, alongside the John Rice Plumlee doubleheader, I think that's also a very big moment from this year. That's going to be something that I think is going to be right up there with Taylor Hendricks, Cindy Ball Malone in the American Athletic Conference Softball Championship. That is a good moment, but I'll tell you what, between this volleyball with winning the American Athletic Conference title.
Well, it really depends on what your definition is too of the moment. Like, are you more of a on the court moment, or is it, because this is not an on the court moment, this is more of an off the court moment. So it's an interesting question. Like, does this qualify? It's definitely worth the conversation for sure. Because it depends on what your how you define it, what's your definition of it.
Honestly, I think that if I were looking at what the things we're considering right now, I won't spoil any of them. You're gonna have to look at the blackandgoldbanneret.com once we look at this. I think that this is going to be this is right up there with, I think, John Rice Plumlee's doubleheader. I think I think that this one and that one are going to be the two that are going to be two ones that we talk about a good bit, because both of those moments, I think, have that off the court, off the field of play significance to it that you could talk about with a moment like this. So, but Taylor, I will say that this moment in particular is going to be the one that has the biggest ramifications. I think out of all the nominations possibilities that we took note of, I think this one is going to be the one that has the most far-reaching ramifications for its sport. And for its sport, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. Depends on how you want to break it down. That's a fascinating moment. Yeah, I mean, that's a cool moment that people will remember where they were when Taylor Hendricks got selected in the lottery. And UCF was mentioned, and add that to the list. So yeah, that's maybe. I mean, definitely for UCF. I mean, and like in a lot of ways, this is a part of the defines the UCF basketball season, right? You make the NIT, Taylor Hendricks plays, and then the end result is he ends up in the lottery. That's a pretty cool moment.
Right with Jerace Walker, right one pick behind him.
See, that's why he was picked to win the American Conference of the Year. No, it's interesting. Again, it's on the court versus off the court. I don't know if we were able to split that up, because they're it's hard to kind of compare. One was, a lot of that stuff. I'm obviously biased. The Ball Malone moment. I mean, hopefully you caught that on your vlog, Bryson. I don't know if there's not footage, because the broadcast did a lousy job picking that up. I think you may have picked it up, but that was a great moment. But then you had to be there to see it, right? But again, on the field, the Plumlee thing obviously was a cool moment to me. I'm with Nick. I called the baseball version of that. That was kind of surreal, because the cool thing about that was nobody knew what was going to happen. Like, I want to make this very clear. There was no design plan for him to leave that game, because you can't predict how the game's going to play out, right? It really worked out nicely that UCF had a big lead and blew the game open, and Greg approached him about it, and it just worked out perfectly. But there was no guarantees he was going to get taken out if that game was tied or not. So that's what made that moment so cool. You got the base hit, and, we did a good job on the broadcast kind of, following that very closely. And then once you could tell when he's taking off, he got pinch run for you. Now you know what it was coming. And boy, he Noah Goldberg freaking opening the door for him.
You and him are all over every major sports media thing that was covering that, because you see him.
Darn right we are.
And then
Bryson was in there. He popped in. He was chasing JRP.
Oh yeah,
he got him. He got no opening up the door, and then they got you commentating the whole thing.
And
like you're all over there.
And our photographer Brenna Johnson captured his arrival to the bounce house and heading into the locker room.
Yeah.
So that's a cool moment. That was a cool moment.
It's 100%. It's a top 4. Like, to me, the best 4 moments here was this: Taylor Hendricks getting drafted, JRP's doubleheader, us winning the American Athletic Softball Championship. Although you could, in my mind, you could switch that out with Jada Cody's perfect game.
Sarah Willis.
Sarah Willis. Oh, excuse me, Jada Cody. We were just mentioning her, and I got her mixed up. Yes, Sarah Willis. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's another great moment. My first ever 7-inning perfect game.
That might be best. Honestly, I mean, championships obviously should, in my mind, are always the biggest, but like that might be a bigger moment just because like how rare that is.
Oh, it sounds like a debate. We might have a debate. We may have to go on live next week and debate all these categories. I mean,
that's what I think. Like, I'm trying to propose to Jeff that what we need to do is both in honor of like, you know, this is kind of like it. This is it for the athletic year, but also being that this is it for the our time in the American, we should have like a show where we like look back at some of our greatest moments. And I think just the moments we've been talking about alone, those are some of the greatest moments from our time in this conference.
And I mean, Taylor I mean, Taylor Hendricks has been at the center of that. I mean, you think about that Memphis game, like that Memphis game might be one of the top UCF basketball games that has been played in that Edition Financial Arena, just from a game standpoint. I mean,
that was so fun, man. So fun.
That was, boy. But yeah, and now here's a question I have for you, Nick and Eric. Is Tyler Hendricks was sitting right there beside his brother in there on that couch in that interview, and was shown alongside his brother here at the NBA draft. We did not get to see Tyler Hendricks play at UCF, play for UCF. He redshirted last year. But what do you think this means as for him now going into this next season? Because it looks like Tyler is going to stay on with the Knights going into the Big 12. So imagine now you have Tyler now has to kind of follow that up. Like, what do you think as far as a mentality standpoint there?
Well, I mean, hopefully he's healthy and hopefully he's a good player, and he's not going to be Taylor, but he could be his own guy. So hopefully
it's your time, man. Make your own legacy.
Exactly. That's it right there. Nick said it perfectly. I wouldn't want to do the comparison or any of that stuff.
Yeah. I know some people will, and I hate when that happens. So
I just think as far as a motivating factor, though, I mean, Tyler cares about, obviously Taylor and Tyler are very close. And so I just feel like, seeing your brother, do on this big stage is motivation for you to do the best that you can, because now it's his turn. Earn a spot in the starting lineup and do.
Hopefully he's a good player. We don't know what kind of player he is. We never got to see him play. So
G-Dot says another possible top moment: McKenna being the first volleyball player to be named a first-team All-American. McKenna. Oh yes, we did not forget about McKenna Melville. Don't you worry.
I was gonna say like that, and them winning the conference. That's another top moment. Like, you got to show love to volleyball.
I called that match against Houston. That was an amazing match. Best volleyball match I've ever seen in person. I was blessed to call that. So, again, we have this project he and Bryson have been working on that is basically kind of what your idea was, Nick, except I went more in depth, kind of like trying to acknowledge and give a shout out to a lot of great athletes and coaches that have been a part of UCF that have helped UCF get to this point. And we hopefully will release that in the future, maybe next week, Monday, hopefully. I don't know. That'd be great. Because me and Bryce have stayed up till like 3-4 in the morning arguing about some of this stuff.
Working hard and hyping it up, man. I'm excited for it.
So hopefully that comes out, and if it does, then Nick, we can maybe bring you on. We'll do some segments where you can ask us questions about the rankings. I'm sure everybody will have questions about some of the subjects that we addressed in there. So that's part of our thing, but we'll have other content. And you're right. I mean, there's obviously 10 years of the American's been a great run. That's helped UCF get to the Big 12. There's been a lot of great moments and a lot of good moments this year. McKenna bringing it up. That's an unbelievable year. And it's highlights. It's a fun. I mean, really been blessed. I mean, a lot of great athletes with, Taylor, You have JRP, what he did with the two sports. The Jada Cody we talked about earlier. Renaya Jones, another monster year for Renaya Jones, leading UCF track. McKenna, what she did at volleyball.
Kristen Scott.
I mean, Ben McCabe having the quietly and not, you could argue the second greatest season by any hitter in UCF baseball history, behind only Chris Duffy's 2010 year, which got him a Golden Spikes finalist. So, you know, and the more I thought about it, because I was studying up Ben McCabe for this project that me and Bryce have been working on, I think he kind of if UCF would have done better in conference, he probably would have won Player of the Year. Really? I mean, Rotten was a great player for Wichita State, so let's not act like that was taken. You know,
it didn't go to a bad player, but I agree with you 100% on that.
He might have had a case for Player of the Year, and you wonder if the whole back thing maybe also messed him up or cost him a little bit. But he had a heck of a year. What was he? 4 All-American publications. He's an All-American at 4 baseball publications, right? So,
yeah.
You know, we've seen a lot of cool stuff. We've also seen some weird stuff. Like, you know, a volleyball coach deciding to leave in May out of nowhere to pursue a professional league that, you know, may or may not last longer than a year. Whatever.
Yeah,
I hope it does.
Changeover in the rowing position. And hey, you mentioned, you know, Ball Malone and Sahadak involvement with the national team. The rowing coach has had involvement with the U.S. national rowing team. So more national team involvement there. You know,
we had a UCF player in the World Cup in Sean Johnson. Gold doing international.
He's going to be in the Gold Cup here starting this weekend. He's on the Gold Cup for the U.S. national team. Earlier.
Yeah, so you know, I think in some ways this is a very weird year in UCF history, because you have the Big 12 looming over, so you're kind of looking ahead to that, but you still have your own year. And you know, in some ways, you know, football had a good but not great. You have basketball getting to the NIT, but with, of course, fan expectations, a lot of people can call it a good but not great year for fan expectation purposes, even though I would argue it's a great year for basketball.
They beat Florida in it. That was a highlight.
Yeah. Women's basketball is a little bit in a rebuild right now. Then women's soccer did really well. Volleyball did really well. Track, by all intents and purposes, wrapped up like how they needed to. Softball, considering the, you know, even for not making it back to a super regional, this is I think a worthy.
Well, I mean, you guys documented it, and I think you're working on that as well. Obviously, track and softball winning the conference titles in Tampa, which turns out, and we kind of had a feeling this would be the case, the last 2 conference championships that UCF won in the American happened in Tampa with softball, and then the next day track and field. That's pretty cool. The first conference championship this year, by the way, was won by UCF as far as the women's soccer regular season.
Yeah. That was still a really good moment right there. Right there.
I think it's a year of highs and lows, but the highs are so incredible, and I think something that we're always going to be talking about for years to come. That's the best way I think I can describe this year.
What about as far as the American, Eric? Because, you know, it's funny because UCF coming into the American, like this, UCF is a really different university than it was when it first came into the American in 2013. Like, really think about where this all stemmed from, where it was initially an invite to the Big East, then the Big East kind of collapses, and the Catholic 7, you know, formed the new Big East, and then the old Big East has to rebrand into this American Athletic Conference. So now the kind of that branding has been taken away. It's not the Big East. Now it's just this new conference that has had no prior existence. And now, a decade later, they're going into the Big 12. I mean, looking back on the American, because we're making that changeover in just a few days. So, I mean, just thoughts on just this journey that UCF has been on over this last decade.
It's been a wild journey, but a lot of growth, a lot of success. So it's been fun. It's been a fun 10 years. I'm distracted right now because Magic fans are beside themselves right now. It's just.
Is it still bad?
Man. Oh yeah.
I think at this point they're not trading him.
No. Well, no. In fact, Weltman has already spoken to the media. That's why I'm a little distracted. He has said that Black is able to play all 3 wing positions, but he does not see the guard room as crowded. I disagree with that. Also added that Howard was hurt the second half of the season. The Magic believe he has a lot more to show. So that is Weltman, the GM for the Magic. He says that Anthony Black's IQ is something that stood out. Big theme with both Black and Jet Howard. Oh, IQ. Come on. I hate when it comes. Love when a minute. Oh, he has great IQ. Who doesn't have good? Come on, man. Anyway.
You have to be smart.
Right. But anyway, so that's the Magic, more Magics, which I got to get to cover that shortly. But so I forgot, I got a morning radio hit to break down the NBA. That's why I got to cover this, because I got a morning radio hit to break down the NBA draft. I got to explain what the Magic are doing, and I'm not sure what to say, Nick. Except I think they want good guards. But anyway, yeah, no, the 10 years has been a heck of a journey, the growth. Think about UCF football, BCS, Fiesta Bowl 2013, obviously the 2017 year, basketball winning their first ever NCAA tournament game, coming within a tip-in of the Sweet 16 and men's hoops, women's hoops, great history in the Abe era. Softball has exploded in interest and success, obviously, with hosting that regional, going to the first ever super regional, just a lot of historical moments over the 10 years. And it'll be interesting to see this new chapter in the Big 12.
And I think it's kind of funny, isn't it, that what was one of the highlights of our first year in the American? A UCF player getting taken in the top 10 of a major draft. In that case, Blake Burles going third to the Jaguars. And how does it end? A UCF player getting taken in the top 10 of a draft. In this case, Taylor Hendricks going 9th to the Utah Jazz.
Hopefully it goes better for Taylor than it did for Blake and Jackson.
Yeah.
But, you know.
You were the chosen one, Blake.
Although Blake played a number of years. He wasn't bad. He just wasn't he wasn't Culpepper. Like Culpepper.
Yeah, he wasn't Culpepper. Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, the Jaguars were a mess. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's a legend here.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
So, but yeah, no, it's been a great night, been a nice hour and 40 minutes getting to talk whole bunch of UCF sports, but the headliner of it all being Taylor Hendricks getting selected with the number 9 overall pick to the Utah Jazz, and that really puts a kind of a nice exclamation point on this American Athletic Conference era. So, any more thoughts you'd like, gentlemen?
Hey man, happy for Taylor. Worked out, man. Hopefully this leads to more players. Hey, come to UCF, play basketball. You know what I mean? Like that's you don't have to go elsewhere. And hopefully this gets more people invested in UCF basketball as well. And it's a cool moment. It's a cool moment that I think will register for years and decades. You know, just like you brought up Benny Shaw, right? Like Benny Shaw's name got brought up this week, right? Because he was the first UCF basketball player to ever get drafted in an NBA draft, right? Jermaine Taylor's name got brought up because he was the highest draft pick up until tonight in the second round. And now Taylor Hendricks joins that list. And so that is, you know, that's pretty cool. That's the cool thing about it. And it's pretty cool. That's the cool thing that I'll take away. His name, this will be a part of the legacy, and who knows what he does on the court, man. Maybe he's the first all-star in UCF basketball history. Maybe he's an all-NBA. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe wins a ring. Who knows? But you talk about the future. Right now, I'm just going to talk about the present and just end by saying, I don't know about you guys, but right now I feel damn proud to be a UCF Knight. Damn proud.
I think a good lot of people will agree with you on that, Mick.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us to watch Taylor Hendricks make UCF history. As always, you can follow us on our website at Black and Gold Banneret, on our Instagram, Twitter. You can follow me at Nick Porcelli too, Bryson at It's Bryson Turner, Eric Lopez at Eric Lopez Elo. Thank you guys for watching. Go Knights and charge on.